Hey folks, how's it going? Dr. Spin. Eclectic album reviews and general musical meanderings. Welcome to another posting in my 2024 preview list. It's all just music I've been listening to for the past week or two, getting a real superficial idea of just like styles and strengths and weaknesses of these albums, so that in the future months as I'm going through it, I can dig a little bit further into them and really bring them to life in the course of the next few months. So let's go and get started. First one I got up is Jaga Jazzist, Pyramid. Jaga Jazzist occupies this really interesting space in sort of a Venn diagram that includes jazz, prog, and electronica. And, to an American person, that seems kind of weird and strange, because our idea of like jazz fusion, at least, is informed by things like 70s, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, and Weather Report and stuff like that. This kind of occupies a different space, but really, if you're understanding where they're coming from as Norwegian jazz musicians, it's not quite so inconceivable, because in Europe, jazz took hold and didn't really have this sense of trying to preserve itself, kind of like it does in America as much. So it's been allowed to sort of seep into other styles and bleed over into more academic compositional styles and electronic styles with ease. So as a result, the Jaga Jazzist Pyramid has these really leaky boundaries between these three different styles. Now, Pyramid was recorded relatively quickly in like a 2-week period, 12-hour days, which is really impressive considering the complexity and also the ease with which this album presents itself. It's billed as a 4-song EP, but because of the compartmentalized fashion in which it was recorded, it has a certain cohesion to it and a runtime of 39 minutes, even though it's only 4 songs long, that really gives it the feel of an album. And I feel like it has a really strong connection to post-rock bands like Tortoise, but also a sense of recalling the thematic jazz rock work that Frank Zappa was doing in the 70s, like on the Grand Wazoo and Waka Jawaka, but tempered with a certain electronic side to it that also includes the like more contemporary guys like Floating Points. It's a very interesting blend of the three styles that again kind of coheres into something that's pretty unique and easy to listen to while still being an intellectual challenge to disentangle. Okay, next up I got Young Fathers, Heavy Heavy.
Buried in between justice, holier than thou. Sunset gremlin with a snidely smile. Wanna win? I wanna win.
I saw what I saw. I keep on walking the line. I saw what I saw. I keep on walking the line.
Heavy Heavy has received a lot of critical acclaim, and there is a lot to like about this kind of stylistically challenging album. My understanding is that Young Fathers have some roots in hip-hop, but really only trace amounts of that seem to really still exist. They've kind of gone into some studies of like West African and Ethiopian music, as well as kind of expose themselves to sort of countercultural European art gallery environments, and came up with this album that's kind of more gospel influenced. It has a really celebratory and noisy nature to it that recalls bands, on the one hand, almost like Prodigy and TV on the radio, but also kind of like Animal Collective, bands that seem like they should be dance bands, but really aren't. This is a West African idea about through insistence and repetition, you can induce a trance state. And I think that's something that happens quite a bit on Heavy Heavy, is that they're really trying to push ostinatos to the limit while still giving it this sort of cathartic, explosive moment in each song where the climaxes. And I could really see this working super well in a live setting, but it's a little bit up to debate for me right now whether this works as well on album. Next up I got Kebu's Urban Dreams. Back in 2013 when I was living in Austin, I discovered kind of a really robust underground synthesizer scene that centered around, for me, this band Survive. But in general, I haven't had as many albums that really spoke to me in the same way. But this Kebu album is the first one in a while that has done so. And Kebu is this Finnish synthesizer whiz who's really dedicated to finding an expressive voice within the realm of synthesizer music that was sort of happening as the 80s came around. And of course, you're going to hear me say this again. I talk about it a lot, but Jean-Michel Jarre plays a pretty big role, I think, as a reference for Kebu and what he's doing. And on this, his third album, Urban Dreams, is influenced very strongly by the concept of dreams, both waking and sleeping dreams. And I do think that his fantastical thematic approach really does capture the surreal nature of the dream state. His use of themes and textures, again, are very reminiscent of Jarre, especially in sort of like the peak of his sort of sci-fi tinged albums in the late 70s. So fans of synth music that are from that era are really going to find a lot to like here. I don't know that it innovates as much as Survive did, but it certainly pays tribute to this and finds its expressive voice in this style pretty effectively. And finally, I got Bully's Lucky for You. I'll admit I've been in the thrall of many female artists the last couple of years, but many of those female artists are kind of in the realm of indie pop songwriting. Soccer Mommy, again, Wise Blood, that genre. Less so have I run into female artists that kind of recall the grittier side of millennial guitar rock, like Veruca Salt and the Breeders. And that's, I think, the space in that fans of that style of female-led rock is going to find a lot to like here on Lucky for You. And I think a more recent reference that I can have for it is X-Hex, a band that I was really into in 2019. X-Hex, one of the things that really made that album super compelling was, even though it really absorbed and recalled the gritty feminist rock of like Joan Jett, it was also underpinned by really great riffs and melodic instrumental side of the group. Bully instead relies pretty heavily on walls of a guitar that are very heavily distorted. And because she also engages a lot of edge in her voice and the guitars feel very overblown, I think that a lot of the expressive potential in some of these songs is lost in the production, unfortunately, because everything just seems so loud and so turned up so loud that nothing really seems to have as much expression. It's an attempt to create energy just through the intensity of the timbre. But I also think there's some really great songwriting on this, and I'm working on kind of peering through this sort of distracting sounds that I'm getting out of the production to get at the core of the songs, because I do catch myself hearing these songs in my head later on. There's something there, and that maybe just needs more investigation on my end. But that's all I have for you guys for now. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe and share it out with your friends. Also, follow me over on Spotify. And also, if you want to be involved in my 2024 viewers bracket, please look below for my Patreon and sign up. I'll get you the information on what you need to have your voice heard this year. And until you see you next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.
Oh, my hair is getting good in the back.